Hello, everyone. If you were a big Sierra fan in the early to mid 1990s, as I was, and I'm guessing many or most of you were, then you might remember a game called The Shadow of Yserbius. Yserbius, I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced exactly, but it's an RPG. And I don't really play RPGs. It's literally like the one genre of computer game that I don't really get into much, don't really play very much. Um, And the reason for that is because they tend to be pretty heavy on the grinding. I mean, most RPGs is just grinding. It's basically just doing the same thing over and over, just getting into random combat encounters over and over, just so you can watch your stats go up, which is not really something that I enjoy. I very much enjoy the Quest for Glory games, but they have a very minimal amount of grinding. Like, yeah, you might need to do something a couple of times to get your stats up, but it's not like the hours and hours of grinding that most RPGs just kind of expect from the player and are built for. I mean, RPGs are built for that. They're built for just hours of grinding, which is not really something that appeals to me. So, Quest for Glory games are basically adventure games with relatively light RPG elements, but they're fundamentally adventure games. So that's fine for me. But um, let's go ahead and run this game. Rather than me talking about why I don't like RPGs, I should go ahead and get to the point of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and run the Shadow of Yserbius. And yeah, this was part of the Imagination Network. So if you don't remember or don't know, so this was originally, I guess, planned as a multiplayer game. And so it was part of TSN, the Sierra Network, which later became the Imagination Network, or INN. So it's built to be an online, uh, I guess not an MMORPG. Like it's not. I guess it wouldn't count as a massively multiplayer online RPG, but it was meant to be a multiplayer RPG. You're meant to have like a handful of people in your party and fight as a group. But the game was later re-released in a single-player form. You can play it as, as a single-player form. The problem with it is that it was not balanced for single-player play. Um, the game's numbers, those all-important numbers that basically constitute the reason why people play RPGs, those numbers are quite obviously geared to a multiplayer experience, to like a party experience with several people in your party, not just you playing alone. So that's part of why I'm making this video. But again, like I said, I don't really like RPGs very much. And very often what I'll do is I'll kind of cheat to get around the grinding. So yeah, let's go ahead and play. And so first you can create a character. So I'll go ahead and, yeah, replace this character, and I'll give the character a name. I'll go ahead and type in my name. You can type an epithet or you can leave it blank. So you can say something like I don't know, I'll just leave that blank, whatever. So yeah, you have different races. Annoyingly, it doesn't seem to explain the difference. The game is pretty good about telling what the different fields are, but it's really bad at telling you what things do, or what the difference is. Like, it doesn't tell you the difference between a human and an orc and an elf. I guess these things are probably in the manual. I don't know. This was not a game that I had as a child, so this was one of several games which I kind of wanted to play as when I was a child. I was really enthusiastic about this game 30 years ago when I saw it as a kid. It was, I guess, in the late 1990s that I finally got the single player version, but I never really played it through but that was a time when I was, getting into other things in life. But I always kind of wanted to get into this and kind of see what it's like. And now that I did, I'm a little bit disappointed in it. I should probably talk more about that later. I'll get back to that later. But for now, so we have sex, male and female. I guess if this game was made today, there would probably be an other option because, those are the times. But yeah, so this was the 90s, which was a time when men and women were treated as equals, but there wasn't really much emphasis on having other options. So guilds are basically like classes. So you have barbarian, you have knight, ranger, thief. So here at least they explain a little bit of what these are. They didn't say what the different races are like, but here at least they explain what the guilds are. So yeah, so thieves are obviously thieves. Clerics are generally, yeah, clerics are spellcasters. You can use their spells to cast or to cure sick and weak people. Wizards have mastery of, more general magical forms. And yeah, barbarians are basically just fighters. So I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. I'm not gonna play the game through. Sure, let's be a ranger. Why not? Alignment, there are basically two alignments. There's a harmony and there's chaos. So, I don't know, I guess my alignment is harmony in real life, kind of, sort of. So I guess I'll stick to that. And yeah, you can cast out your attributes here. I'm not going to bother with that. Yeah, you can kind of fine tune your appearance here. I'm not really going to... I mean, this is not really the point. Let's just go ahead and give myself some... Oh, that's pretty cool. Viking helmet. Let's go with that. Costume, regular suit of armor. Or... I kind of like that green, like this green sort of forest ranger's kind of tunic. Nose, I don't really care too much about the nose. Eye color, facial hair. Do I have a mustache or a beard? Nah, you know what? I'll just leave it like that. That's fine. Let's just leave it like that. And you can add some points to spells. I mean, again, none of this is really important right now. This is not what the focus is. This is not a let's play. This is just me showing how to cheat at the game. So I'll go ahead and click on done. So I guess now we can say play. So we're entering Yserbius. So basically, the way the game works, this is an online feature which we can't play in the offline version. This is where we can come back here, and we'll come back here fairly regularly to do things like you can sell things here that you find. So when you find stuff in the dungeon, you can come back here and sell it for gold. And this is also an important place to come back to because when you level up, you will need to come here to add points to your skills and spell levels and attributes and stuff like that. But yeah, the main part of the game is going into the volcano here. So there are two entrances to the volcano. If you go in the top entrance here, you start at the very beginning. If you click on this here with the bars over it, or actually, I guess that's a door. I thought that was like prison bars, but actually, no, I guess that's a door. If you click on this entrance here, it will take you back to where you were, assuming that you were already somewhere in the game and you kind of teleported back here, then this will take you back to where you are. But if you want to start all over from the beginning, you can do that here. In this case, it doesn't really make much difference because even if I click there, we are at the beginning anyhow, so it'll take me back to the beginning anyway. So it really makes no difference in this case. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn up the cycles a bit. I usually use the number 18,000 cycles. I don't know why. That just seems like a good number for a lot of DOS games. Something that I've kind of gotten used to. I mean, I'm sure you could use 20,000 as well. I don't think it would make that much difference. But anyway. So yeah, this is the Shadow of Yserbius. As an RPG, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not a horrible game. It has some things about it that, let's go to the mines. It has some things about it that I dislike. In later parts of the game, it focuses very much on trapdoors and teleports and things like that. So when you're walking through, these corridors of places, you'll run into a lot of trapdoors that will either drop you into other levels or teleports that will teleport you to other places. Basically, just like you can't walk through the game without suddenly getting zapped around here and there, which I just find kind of annoying. That kind of thing annoys me. Here in this level, it's pretty straightforward. This is like, a starting level. So here there are not too many magical traps and things like that. But yeah. So this is the main... this is what you'll be seeing a lot of in the game, the combat screens. We ran into a wolf. So if you want to attack your enemy, you click here, and then you click on your enemy up there. The game does not have keyboard shortcuts for any of this stuff. It's actually kind of annoying. It's very mouse-driven, which I find annoying. I feel there is so much combat in this game because again, RPGs are mostly they're mostly random combat encounters. They're mostly about this kind of random combat that's kind of what drives most of these games. Which is again one reason why I don't like RPGs. Someone told me recently that they like RPGs because they can kind of zone out. They can they can just keep doing this over and over, just wander around and keep attacking monsters as they find them. I personally would rather zone out playing other types of games. Like I can zone out playing an action game or a driving game. Those are actually for me. Those are pretty good for zoning out on. But or even card games. Like I play so much Free Cell that I can play it without even think. Like I literally play Free Cell without even thinking about it. Like I'll play Free Cell when I'm thinking about something else, and I will just like play it on autopilot because I'm thinking of something else and not even thinking about the game. But in an RPG like this, you have to think about the numbers. You're gonna have to watch how many health points you have. If you use magic, you have to think about how many mana points you have. So here you can see our stats. So we start off with 8 mana and 30. I mean, I guess this probably varies depending on what race and character class you chose. In this case, I start off with 30 health and 8 mana. So yeah, I mean, when playing a game like this, you have to focus on these numbers, and that annoys me. I can't really zone out when I'm always watching my stats and making sure that my stats don't get too low. So I don't feel like these are good games for zoning out on. But anyway, I don't know why my portrait looks like this when I didn't choose to have a mustache, and I definitely didn't choose to have that hat. They use like some kind of weird generic portraits for a lot of these things. But anyway, so yeah, this is if you want to just do like melee combat. This is for casting spells. So right now we just have 2 spells. We can obviously get more later. This is for using skills. So yeah, skills and spells, and this is your bag, obviously, where you can choose items. If you click with the left mouse button, it tells you what it is. That's a healing potion, and that is a mana potion, which increases your magic points. And I think if you click with the right mouse button, you drink from these potions. Like this will drink this potion if I click with the right mouse button. So yeah, so a lot of the game, if you play and if you click on this boot, that's to run away. That's to try to run away from this combat encounter. It doesn't always work. So a lot of the game is either doing this, click on the weapons here and then click on your enemy, or click here and click on a spell to cast. Once you have, in this case not so much, but once you have offensive spells that, like attack spells that can cause damage to your enemy, you might do this instead if you want to focus on magic, if you're more focused on magic than on melee combat. And that's it. That's most of the game. Because, again, that's the nature of RPGs. And this RPG in particular really, it's not only designed for online play in terms of how the numbers balance out, because later on you'll get into some ridiculously difficult fights that are basically impossible. I would say they're borderline impossible to win if you're a single player. They're really designed to be played by a party of multiple players. So the numbers are not balanced for a single player experience, but also in terms of the features and the overall feel of the game, just the experience of playing this game. It doesn't have a lot in it for a single player. I think that really the real draw of this game was the multiplayer experience and being able to chat with people and being able to go on fights and adventures together with them. If you're playing this by yourself, the game lacks so much that would be standard for most RPGs. Like it's a pretty shallow RPG as far as single player RPGs go. So like both in terms of the numbers, like just the numerical data, and in terms of the game itself, like the game features itself, just the experience of playing the game. I feel like it is not really a great single player experience, which is kind of disappointing because I remember when I was young, I wanted to play this game so much. It looked so good. I mean, the one thing it has going for it is it does have nice graphics. These, graphics representing the monsters do look nice. Like it is a well-drawn game. It has nice looking graphics, but I think this kind of became the problem that a lot of Sierra games had. I think that this was kind of around the time when a lot of Sierra games were having this problem. They were really focusing more on being produced games, and they became less fun. Like a lot of games that came out around this time, in fact, most of the big games from Sierra that came out around this time, like King's Quest VII, Space Quest VI, this game, Shadow of Yserbius, Lost in Time. Remember I played Lost in Time? I made Let's Play Lost in Time, and that was another game like that. I so wanted to play Lost in Time when it came out, and then when I played it years later, I was kind of disappointed by it. And and yeah, like the VGA remakes of some of their games, like the VGA remake of Police Quest 1 was really disappointing to me because even though it's a pretty well-made remake, it loses a lot of the fun. Like it's not that much fun to play. And like I'm saying, I think around this time, Sierra was more focusing on making produced games. The games that had, that functioned more like where the game making process was more like making a movie, where you had a director and a producer and different writers and different animators, and it made for more polished looking games. But it also made for games that were less fun because it was less about making a game that was fun to play, and more about just making a game that looked good as a polished commercial product. So that's one of the reasons why when I started playing this game, I thought, I want to just cheat. I don't want to spend however much time it'll take to do this. But also, again, like I said, I think that if you just play this as a single player, I don't think you can get very far. And I would posit that it's nearly impossible, maybe not absolutely impossible, but like bordering on impossible to finish this game, like to actually beat this game as a single player playing offline, just because of the way that the game balances out, or doesn't balance out, the way the game is unbalanced in later game portions. It becomes ridiculously hard for a single player. So right now it's not too bad. We've got one wolf. We're facing off against just one wolf. So we can do this and okay, it hit us for 5 damage. We hit it for 5 damage. It doesn't even show how many hit points the enemies have. If you click with the right mouse button on most things, like I just did here, it'll show you, like, again, it'll explain stuff like this, which is nice, but it does a good job of explaining the user interface in that sense. You can click with the right mouse button on most things to see what things do, like what the different buttons do. But if I want to see how many hit points this wolf has, I don't know that there's a way to do that. I don't think there is. So we're doing fairly well here, but okay, cool. We won the battle. We got 30 gold pieces and earned 8 experience points. So now if we click on ourselves and go to stats, yeah, we have 8 experience, and we lost some health, but yeah, we got 30 gold, so not too bad. So yeah, as an RPG, this is just like, okay, it's a nice looking RPG, but after going through a few fights, I just feel like, okay, I want to progress. I want to move on. I don't want to slowly build up my experience, 8 experience points at a time. Of course, you get more later. Like for more advanced fights against more advanced enemies, you get more experience points later. But so I don't just want to keep doing this over and over. I want to kind of accelerate that process. So the usual way that I would do that back in the day, I'm going to go and save and then quit to DOS. The usual way that I would do that back in the day is by editing saved games. For a long time, for many years now, I've kind of been an aficionado of editing saved, like of hex editing saved games for DOS games, so that I can, kind of cheat, especially at RPGs. But oh wait, this is DOSBox. I don't think it has those. Oh, I guess it does. Okay, cool. It does have these switches that real DOS has. So we've got this new file called mycars.dat. So AutoMaps is obviously the maps in the game, and mycars is, or chars characters, is the characters in the game. So if we take a look at the save file in hexadecimal format, you can see it's not really very, it's kind of opaque. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to figure it out, but I guess this is probably designed to not let people edit it too easily. It looks like I'm going to assume they probably deliberately obfuscated it somehow so that you can't edit your characters too easily. And these gaps that you see here, I'm going to assume these gaps are gaps between the different characters in the game. So basically what we probably have here is we obviously have data on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. So I'm going to assume that I believe 6 is the maximum number of characters that you can have in your party. So basically this saves data on those 6 characters. Each of these groups of bytes is 1 character in your party. And like I said, it looks to me like it's been obfuscated deliberately to make it hard to edit for people who want to kind of cheat that way. But what you can do, I made a YouTube video some time ago, I guess it was a couple of years ago now, about using the debugger in DOSBox-X. The debugger in DOSBox-X is a great tool. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into Yserbius, and I'm going to go ahead and resume playing from where I left off. Go ahead and click on play. And come back to where we were. And yeah, if you start the debugger, you get this window. And I showed this off in a previous video, so I'm not going to go through the whole details of how to use it, but basically, actually I guess I should probably, because the people watching this might not have seen the other videos, so I'll explain very briefly. So this is divided into 4 sections. So if you press tab to switch between, so I'm pressing tab now to go between the different 4 sections. So up above you see the different registers that are in the computer, in the simulated computer. You have the data view, which shows the data that's in the memory. You have the code overview, which is that same data, except it's been disassembled. So you can see the assembly language instructions here. We're not going to use that for this. This is not a video about disassembling code, so we won't use the code part for this. And this is, output of the debugger itself. So what we want to do is find where in memory our different numbers are. Now, I don't know how, I went on a big rant in my video on trainers, which I made a few years ago when I was showing this off. I think I said I don't really know how you'd find these kinds of things back in the day. Today, using this debugger in DOSBox-X, it's a lot easier. This is a great tool for doing this kind of work because it makes things relatively easy. It's still not necessarily easy, but it's a lot easier than it would have been 30 years ago. So I don't know how people did things back then 30 years ago, when people made trainers and things like that. I have no idea how people found things. I seem to recall seeing a YouTube video for an ISA plugin card that let you explore memory, that let you actually go into the memory and kind of get something kind of similar to this, not exactly like this obviously, but kind of sort of going in this direction where you could actually hex edit the computer's memory live. I don't remember what card it was. I seem to recall it was an LGR video, LGR being, Lazy Game Reviews, that guy who, that guy, I mean, his name is Clint, but that guy who does videos on a lot of things, does videos in a lot of different PC hardware and things like that. I seem to recall it was an LGR video, and I went looking for the video, but I couldn't find it. Now, LGR has a video on something called the PC Action Replay card, which is kind of similar to what I'm thinking of, but I don't know if that's the video that I'm remembering or not. But anyway, in any case, it's a video about a card that lets you kind of do something like this. You can actually go into the computer's memory and try to make cheats by kind of analyzing the bits and bytes in the memory. It would have made things a lot easier to have something like that, but in any case, obviously, most people didn't have cards like that back then. 30 years ago, most people didn't have cards like that in their PCs because they were expensive, and most people weren't that hardcore about it. So, I don't know again how people really did this back in the 1990s. It must have been a lot of work, or at least a lot more work than it is now with tools like this. Anyway, so I'm going to spare you the details of how I figured this out, but after a lot of messing around, I figured out that the player's health is at DS. So DS is the data segment, which is usually where the game stores its data. Not just this game, but games in general, typically. So what you can actually do here, if you want to look at the data in the right portion, is you can say, I believe it's just D to change where this data view is pointing. So type D, and then you can type in segment offset format. So like the DS is 2848, so you can type 2848 colon and then the offset. But this debugger is actually smart enough to understand if you just say DS. So you just say DS. Make sure that the DS is at the right place. It usually is 2848 when I run this game, so it should be that. I've seen one case where it suddenly jumped to some other value, like 9 something. I don't know why. But it should be 2848, which is, as far as I can tell, the correct data segment for doing this kind of work. So yeah, DS and then colon, and the offset of your health is at B5E something. So I'm going to say B5E0. And yeah, now we've jumped to where we... that's interesting. This doesn't look like the right place because everything here is 0, and I'm pretty sure I don't have 0 health. If I had 0 health, I'd be dead. So what's going on here? Why do I not see the values that I should be seeing here? Something is wrong. I might need to get into combat for this to work. I have noticed that it doesn't seem to always work properly if I do it on like when I'm not in combat. So okay, let's try this. Let's get into another fight. That shouldn't take long. I need to, let me type, I don't know if there's a better way to get rid of the debugger, but I just type run. If you type run into the debugger, that runs the program, so it takes you back into the game. So let's go ahead and get into another fight. This is not a fight, this is an encounter where somebody just tells you something. There are a lot of these in the game. And they're always set. They're at set locations. They're always at these, like this square here will always have this person, as far as I can tell. These are fixed. These are not random. But we want a random combat because I want to be able to edit our stats. So come on, where is another person talking about stuff? You can't really talk to those people. Like, you can't have a conversation with them. They just say one canned phrase every time. Here's another person. Where are the fights? Usually I get more fights than this. Usually I can't walk like 3 steps in this game without getting into a random combat encounter. Okay, here we go. Another wolf. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back into the debugger. And theoretically we should... Yeah, now we see the values here. So for some reason, it only populates these when you're in a fight. There's probably another place where it stores them when you're outside of a fight, but... Okay, whatevs, man, whatever. We can do this in combat, it's fine. So, the way that this works is your maximum health, I believe, yeah, first it has your maximum health and then your current health. So your maximum health is at B5E9. So that'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So our maximum health here is 1E, which is, what is that? Probably 30, right? Yeah, I think our maximum health was 30. So this is the low byte of your maximum health, and this is the high byte of your maximum health. And then right over that comes the low byte of your current health and the high byte of your current health. Now, if you understand what that means, then you'll realize what I'm saying is your health is a 2-byte value. So it's a 16-bit value, and that means your maximum health is 65,000, whatever. Theoretically, yes. Theoretically, it would be. But for whatever reason, I don't know why they do this. It's so lame, honestly. The game uses a signed integer for your health here. What that means is it can be plus or minus. So it's like if you make your health too high, it will actually roll over and become negative. So you can't just set these to like FF, like all ones, because that's going to give you a negative health value. So your actual maximum health is, I believe, like 7F, which is the highest value before it rolls over to negative numbers. So, and yeah, because your health is only 2 bytes, that means you can't have more than, it's a 2-byte, it's a 16-bit signed integer. That means your maximum health is actually something like 32,000 roughly. And yeah, your maximum health that the game is designed to allow you to have is 32,000 hit points, which honestly, or health points or whatever, which is honestly pretty lame, because when you get into later, more advanced fights, you can easily lose that many health points, more than that many health points in one fight. Especially if you get into like a battle with those paralyzing enemies. Later on in the game, you'll get enemies that paralyze you, and so like you'll be frozen for several turns, and they'll just keep attacking you while you're frozen. You can easily. I've lost like more than 100,000 health points in battle, in one single battle when fighting paralyzing enemies. So 32,000 is not nearly enough. I don't know why they did this. Like you can't get more than that, and that's not even close to being enough for some of the later battles in the game. But it is what it is. You can't do anything about that. So, so what you can do is, so this is our maximum health, but the game doesn't really care about maximum health. You can crank up your current health to be more than your maximum health. So what I'll go ahead and do here is I will say turn BFE 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, ABC. So I'll turn this byte here, B5EC, into 7F, which is, again, the highest hexadecimal value before it starts going negative. So to do that, you say SM, which stands for set memory. It does not stand for S and M. That's a completely different type of game. So set memory, and then again, you can just say, in this case, DS colon, and then the address I said was B5EC, and I'll set it to 7F. So where I have my mouse pointer here, this should become 7F when I press enter. Indeed it did. So that's nice. So now I can go ahead and say run and come back to the game, and oh my, look at what's happened to our health. If you're noticing that the cursor is kind of doubled, like I have a black cursor and a white cursor. The white cursor is the one from the game itself. The black cursor is my Windows cursor. I have the recording set to show my Windows cursor so that I can point at things when I'm not in DOSBox. And one nice thing that I do like about DOSBox-X is it actually correctly handles mouse integrations. Like I can click on things in the game without having to lock my mouse cursor the way stock DOSBox does. I think actually you can probably do the same. I think you can set stock DOSBox to not auto lock, but anyway, all right, whatever. So if I click on myself now, look at my stats, you can see our maximum health is still 30, but you can crank your current health to be any number. Well, not any number, but any number that can be handled by a 16-bit signed integer. So in this case, I actually have a little bit over 32,000 health now, but the game is designed to give you a maximum of 32,000 health. You can manually, using the editor, you can set it to be more than that, but yeah. So there we go. So now we should be able to win this fight easily. Even if we lose a lot of health, we should be able to I mean, the wolf's not going to do 32,000 points of damage. Not at this rate. Like it's doing like 2 damage at a time. So yeah, we're not going to lose 32,000 hit points. So there we go. So there you go. That's how you can adjust your health. So that's already one of the biggest things in the game. I'm not going to cover stuff like your level. I'm not going to tell you how to set your level directly, part because I haven't found it, but it doesn't really matter. You don't need to set your level directly. What you can do is just crank your experience way up, and that will take you to like a really super high level. So I'll show you how to adjust your experience and your mana points. I don't know about these attributes here. They don't really matter that much. I didn't bother finding out how to edit these manually, but one thing that's good to edit is your mana. Now, excuse me. You would think that it would probably be somewhere close to here, right? Because, usually these things are grouped close together. But no, that is not the case, and I don't know why. Your mana is actually at... I'm going to take you there. I'll take you there. It is at DS, and then the offset is... What is it? It's 3915, and I'll just say 0 at the end so we can see the whole line here. So this line here, right at the end, these 8s here, these are the 8 mana points that we have. And again, it works the same way. This is your... Wait, no, I think it works the other way around, doesn't it? Yeah, that's right. It works the other way around here for some reason. With the health, the first number here was your maximum health, and then the second number was your current health. For your mana, I believe it works the opposite way. This first number is your current mana, and the second number here is your maximum possible mana. And again, it's a 2-byte, so 16-bit signed integer. So again, your maximum mana is like 32,000 and some. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this byte here because I think that's my that's the high byte of my current mana. No, wait, it's this. This is the maximum mana. I want to change this here because that's the current mana. So I want to change this byte here. So that's 3950, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D. So I want to say set memory at DS offset 3915D. And again, I'll make it 7F. So it changed it. If I say run now and come back and look at our stats, yeah, now I have 32,000 some mana points, which is a fair amount, depending on how much magic you use. You probably won't exhaust that too quickly. If you rely very heavily on magic in combat and other things, then you might actually exhaust that, but not very quickly. You probably won't exhaust that much mana very quickly, whereas you can burn through 32,000 health points very quickly on higher levels. That will go shockingly quickly. So yeah, that's that. And the other thing that I wanted to show is the experience. Right now we have 16 experience points. So we come back to the debugger. Where is the experience here? So experience is close by. Experience is, unlike the health, which is way the heck out there, way on the other side of the universe, your experience is not far away from here. Experience is at, where is it? It's 3919. Yeah, it's, I believe, where is it? It's 391. It starts with 39197, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this 10 here is our current experience, and it's 10 hexadecimal, so it's not 10, it's, 16, I guess. So, and this one is a 4-byte number, so that means you can actually, if you want to give yourself a ridiculously, stupidly huge amount of experience all at once, you'd want to edit this byte here, which is what, since this was 7, so 8, 9, and this is A. So if I just say set memory, DS offset 3919A, and I won't even say 7F, I'll just say like 20, for example. That should be enough for now, right? And then, let's not get too crazy here. So now if I come back here and look at our experience, yeah, now it actually got pretty crazy. What is that? That is, oh, it's only 536 million. That's actually not that much. You can get into billions with that, I guess, but I didn't. Okay, that's fine. So we have now like 500 million experience points. So that's good. So now if I come back, oh, I don't even have the teleport spell. If you want to get quickly back to that screen where we, before we got into the volcano, you know, with the two entrances into the volcano, if you want to quickly get back to that screen, you can, there's a magic spell called, I think it's just called Teleport, or is it Transport? One of those that'll take you back there. I don't have that spell yet, so how can I get back? Can I might have to manually go back. I mean, I could die. If you die, you go back to the to that screen. One other thing that is kind of interesting about this game is dying has no penalty. If you die, you just go, like, the only penalty is that you go back to that screen, but you don't lose any attributes, you lose any of the things, you know, any of the items that you're carrying, you don't really lose anything. It just sends you back to the, like, physically, location-wise, it sends you back to the start, but it doesn't otherwise penalize you for dying. So let's actually do that. That's kind of a quick way to get back. Rather than manually going back, like, you can manually go back. Like if you go back to the start, you can exit out the dungeon entrance and that'll take you back. But since we're in a fight now, let's be lazy and just give ourselves 0 health or 1 point of health so this thing can kill us. Or 2 things actually. So if we go back to, what was it? So the data segment colon B5E, wasn't it? So yeah, so this byte here, wait, which bytes was it now? It was, yeah, so this is the high byte of our health. So I'm going to go ahead and say set memory B5 B5EC is 0. So that's zeroed out. So now we just have this health, which is, I guess, 16 in hexadecimal. So let's take that down to 1. So let's go ahead and say set memory DSB5EB is just 1. There we go. So now we should have just 1 health point. So if I say run, come back to the game, yeah, we have 1 health point. So we'll probably get killed now. There we go. Late byte has been killed, and that threw us back here. But if I click on this, we have reached level 736. And this is, we need another half million experience points to get to the next level. But if we come back here, now we can see we have lots of points to add to our attributes here, also lots of points to add to our spells. And we've also learned more spells. Now we have a ton of spells here that we've learned. And there's quite a lot of them, actually. And I appreciate that if you click with the right mouse button on one of these skills, it will tell you what these skills do. So you can click with the right mouse button to see what all these different skills do. That's nice. And I think the maximum on all skills is 12 spells. Sorry. Yeah, you can have a maximum of 12 points for these spells. At least with this character. Maybe it's different if you're playing as a wizard. I don't know. I'm playing as a human ranger. Maybe it depends on your race and character class, whatever. And skills, I think, are also a maximum of 12. Yeah. Again, you can right-click with the right mouse button. You'll see a description here of what all the different spells and skills do. So yeah. That's that. That's how you cheat at the Shadow of Yserbius. That's how you give yourself, and you can, I gave myself some crazy high number of experience, but I can keep adding more and gain more and more levels and be able to add more. These do top out after a while. I mean, these attributes don't go up infinitely. Like, I think, yeah, strength tops out at 22, defense tops out at 20, and agility is only 9. I think this is partly because of my character class. I think probably different character classes have different limits, but this class goes up to these numbers, and that's it. There ain't no more after that. But yeah, that's how you give yourself a ridiculous number of experience points to level up very quickly, and then you can give yourself lots of points, and then go back to the dungeon and fight. At some point, it asks you it makes you decide whether you'll continue playing your current character online via Einen or offline. I don't think I even have the option of. Oh, it threw me out of the game. That's nice. I clicked on offline and it just ended the game. That's a great response. It was probably supposed to start something else, but oh, there you go. That was that. So yeah, that's how you cheat at the Shadow of Yserbius. So like I said, it's a nice looking game. It's not a horrible game, but I feel kind of disappointed looking back on this now because, again, I had somehow a lot of games that I imagined in my head in the 1990s, they ended up just being less fun to play than I thought they would be when I finally got to play them years later. What can I say? I think Sierra, like I said, I think Sierra was definitely going for a more produced look and feel in their games at this point in time, and they had kind of lost the sense of what makes a game fun. And that's a trend that continues into this very day. I mean, this was already happening 30 years ago. This game is from 30, or even more than 30 years ago, I think. A little bit more than that. Wait, what was the copyright date on it? If we run it again, I think it shows the copyright date, doesn't it? Copyright 1993. So yeah, this game is, as I'm making this video, this game is 32 years old. Crazy stuff, man. What can I say? It's, yeah, like I said, it's a trend that continues to this very day. Ken Williams actually relatively recently made a new company, and, working with his esteemed wife, Roberta, they made this remake of the classic Colossal Cave adventure. It got fairly minimal press reception. I'm surprised how little attention it got. I guess, times have sort of gone for honest men and sometimes far too long for snakes. No, it's something different. What we're in a time where it takes something very different to make games. And I remember Ken boasting back, Ken boasted some years ago that he still got it. He said, I still have what it takes to bring that wow factor to games, but I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm just not making games anymore. And I guess finally he decided to prove that he still got it. And the sad thing is he doesn't really still have it. Like, he doesn't really have what it takes, I think, to bring that wow factor to games that people had from Sierra Games in the late 1980s, early 1990s. He's very focused on production values now, which is not bad in itself. I mean, it's not bad to make a produced looking game. It's not bad to make a game that looks nice. I mean, like I said, this is a nice looking RPG. The graphics are great. It has great graphics. That's cool. But as we know from decades of experience playing video games, the main thing about a game is that it has to be fun. It should be a fun game, and just making a game that has great graphics is in itself not enough. Well, I guess it's enough to sell the game. I guess that's the thing. A lot of people will play it. A lot of people will just play games based on their graphics, and so I guess a lot of people do buy games just because the games look good, and even if the games aren't fun to play, people are like, "Wow, the graphics are cool." So maybe that's why. I don't know. Anyhow, but yeah, that's Shadow of Yserbius. That's how you can cheat, and even cheating like crazy. It's an uphill climb. Once you start getting into the later battles, like I said, it is so difficult. It is really an uphill climb to get past some of the last battles because they're so epic and they're so huge. They're not designed to be beaten by one person. So even cheating, it is an epic feat to beat this game as a single player. So don't feel bad about cheating. This game is almost like meant to be cheated if you're playing it as a single player. You could even make it as a trainer. I didn't bother to make a trainer out of this, but what you could do, based on the information in my previous video on making trainers, you could actually make a trainer out of this so that rather than having to come into the debugger every time and having to manually type in those numbers, you could just have the trainer automatically always keep your health at 32,000 health points. The problem with doing that is you can kind of soft lock yourself because, like I said, later in the game, there are enemies that will paralyze you. And if you don't have a good defense against getting paralyzed, you can get into a soft lock situation because it will just keep soft locking. It will just keep paralyzing you. Like, they'll paralyze you and then keep attacking you. And then once you get unparalyzed, then they'll just paralyze you again before you even have a chance to attack. If this happens, especially if you're fighting like large groups of monsters, if you're fighting like 4 monsters at a time that can paralyze you, then you're kind of screwed. You're pretty much screwed at that point because unless you have protection against getting paralyzed, then what'll happen is they'll paralyze you and just keep attacking you over and over and over. And as soon as you get unparalyzed, it'll just paralyze you again. So you won't even have time to get like one shot in, like one attack in before they just paralyze you again. And it's happened to me, and then it basically soft locks the game. Like, even if you have a trainer in to keep your health replenished, it will just keep they'll just keep attacking you endlessly. You won't have a chance to attack them. So I didn't make a trainer because you might actually want to die. You might want to have a chance to die so you can get out of an infinite loop like that, so you can escape, because there might not be any other way to escape from that combat if you can't do anything. So, and yeah, those are situations where, like I said, I have lost like way more than the maximum 32,000 health points. I've lost like more than 100,000 health points in battles like that. So it happens. It can happen. So yeah, game is very tough. It's a very difficult game. Even beating this game with cheating is an achievement, in my opinion. So don't feel bad about cheating like this, because if you were to play this game legitimately, how long would it take you to beat this game playing without cheating? It would take years and years and years. And why? Like, why would you spend years and years and years grinding, playing the same battles over and over and over when you don't really get much out of it? I mean, it's not, for me personally, that's not fun. That's not something fun for me personally. If you don't mind doing that, if you like that kind of thing, I know some people like grinding in games. If you like grinding, you can do it. I mean, feel free. I'm not going to stop you. But if you're like I am, and you don't want to grind for years just to watch the numbers go up, then this is basically how I play RPGs, and I honestly don't feel like I'm missing much. Some people will say, oh, you're spoiling the game, you're missing out on the experience. For me personally, no, I'm not missing anything by doing this. I'm not missing out on the experience. I find this more fun. Like, honestly, this is the kind of thing that I do for fun. Like, I'm making this video because over the weekend, or this past weekend, I just started doing this just on a whim, just to see if I could do it. This is why I'm so successful in my dating life, because this is what I do on a weekend. I hex edit memory of of DOS games. You know, the ladies love it. No, but it's, I mean, this is something that I do for fun. Like for me, it's fun to actually get into the debugger and try to find the memory locations of the numbers that I want to increase. That to me is more fun than playing the RPG legitimately. So this is how I have fun with these kinds of games. This is what's fun for me, and I do this because it's fun. If I were to play the game legitimately, that would be honestly less fun for me. So play the game how you like. If you want to play it legitimately, if you find grinding fun, then you can play it that way. But if you're like I am and you want to rather do this, then you can do this and have more fun. Yeah, hex editing the memory of the running game. So yeah, anyway, sorry, as usual I rambled on a lot, but that's how you cheat in the Shadow of Yserbius by using the DOSBox-X debugger. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope it was kind of interesting and fun. Hope you enjoyed to some extent, for those of you who like this kind of thing. And yeah, I'm out. I'll talk to you folks later. Bye-bye for now.